Hello Toy Collector fans, Universal Toy Collector here and welcome to the channel. And welcome to another episode of My Collecting Life, the series where I get to speak to you, members of the toy collecting community, about your own personal collections, what got you into collecting in the first place, and what gives you that toy collecting buzz. Okay, so who is on today's episode, I hear you all ask? Well, before I introduce him, let's take a look at some of his collection in a musical montage. Ooh. Okay, so well, what another fantastic collection, and it was vintage Star Wars, absolutely fantastic. So some of you may or may not know him, some of you may or may not recognize him. He is definitely a familiar face in the collecting community. I'm absolutely delighted to welcome to the channel the legend that is the Blacked Out Ewoks. How you doing, my friend? Awesome to see you, man.
Hi everyone.
Awesome
Thank you
stuff.
for having me on. Thank you.
No,
I don't know whether I can live up to the title of legend, but I feel very honoured
mate, well,
by
listen
being
to
called
me.
that.
You are a legend. I've watched you on different channels, and I've watched you on your own channel, and yeah, I just yeah, I'm happy you're here, mate. So really appreciate you taking the time to do this. So as always, I've got 10 questions for you. There's no rush answering them. With run time's about an hour, so
Good.
it's all about you. So BOE, let's get started, my friend. First question.
Yeah.
What are your childhood memories and what toy lines were you into as a kid?
I was born in 1970, so I was probably one of the first, especially in the UK, to get into Star Wars, the first movie, whereas a lot of people who are a bit are younger than me probably got Jedi was their first film, but for me it was Star Wars. So before that, we had the original Star Trek. We had the dinky Star Trek Enterprise, all those sort of toys, which I did have. $6 Million Man. Probably my favorite, other than Star Wars, was Space 1999.
Oh
I
wow,
love those.
yeah,
I love those Eagles. I had the dinky Eagles. So obviously, as well, Thunderbirds was
yeah,
another big thing. Batman, the 60s Batman with the Batmobile, Corgi Batmobile. So we had all the British toys that we had, like the Corgis, the Dinkies, $6 Million Man, the 12-inch figure.
that's it.
Obviously, Action Man as well, Palatoy Action Man. So I loved playing with toys. I had a very vivid imagination, and I was just when I was at school, all I daydreamed about was going home to play with toys. I was just, you know, obsessed with toys and playing and having fun, and and I think that's probably part of why we as adults sort of hanker for that nostalgia and that halcyon time of being a child again, when we had no cares. It was just fun, and how you're going to spend your afternoon, which toy you were going to choose, and how you're going to play with it for a couple of hours. Then Star Wars came along. I didn't really want to go see it, but I actually went on my 8th birthday, and my uncle from Australia said, it's gonna it's got a dinosaur in it. I was obviously dinosaur mad. I was also World War II mad as well. I loved all the uniforms, especially the German uniforms and all that sort of stuff. And so when Star Wars came on, something clicked. It had the visual excellence of Space 99, but to a higher level. And I just loved it. The Stormtrooper outfits were brilliant. Darth Vader was actually scary when you're an 8-year-old. I just turned 8 years old. So, I just love Star Wars. There's a bit of a gap between seeing the movie and when the figures came out. So,
yeah,
but I remember my mum telling me, the Star Wars figures are coming out. And in my mind, I expected something a lot bigger.
yeah.
Because we had the sort of Action Men, the Migos. Not
That's
that I
it.
ever
Yeah.
had a Migo, and so I was quite surprised by how small they were. But I vividly remember going to Barnett's Toy Shop, which is in Portobello Road, and my mum took me and my sister, and we were able to choose one Star Wars figure each for 99p, which I chose the Han Solo Palatoy card, and it was a love affair ever since then.
Awesome,
So
awesome. So
yeah.
when you went to the pictures at that age, what was the atmosphere and what was the hype around the film? Because I was only 1974. I would have been 3 at the time, so I was too young to
Yeah.
go to the pictures to see it. So I never got to experience that. What was that experience like for you as a kid, and what was the general atmosphere like after the movie and before the movie? Was there an air of excitement for it, or?
Oh yeah, I mean, I remember my friends. At primary school. They must have said that a couple of them must have seen it before me. We did, and they were talking about a character called Han Solo. And in my mind, I depicted a Chinese character for some reason with a name like Han, and
Yeah.
or a cross between a Chinese character and Mr. Spock. So that's how I was playing it then in the playground. So I think the first time I ever saw anything to do with Star Wars was on either BBC or ITV. It was Screen Test, and they had a little
Okay.
clip of the X-wings approaching the Death Star, and because they were wearing orange flight suits, they look very similar to the astronauts in Space 99 because they've got the same
Yeah,
orange
that's
outfit.
it.
So
Yeah.
that was the sort of my first vivid memory, and then probably the first actual Star Wars item I ever acquired was the Star Wars Weekly Comic issue #2.
Oh,
So that
okay.
was like
Yeah.
probably the first actual Star Wars item I ever acquired,
Mm.
and that's got a great cover. You know, it's got the sand people, a very vivid yellow, just brilliant. I mean, I think I'm quite an artistic person as well, and
Yeah.
I really like the visuals of Star Wars and all that sort of stuff. Just
Definitely. You like the Ralph McQuarrie artwork then, and the concept
yeah,
and stuff like
yeah,
that. Yeah, definitely.
very much. So those
Definitely.
were my early Star Wars memories. Going in
Yeah.
'78 on my birthday, getting my first figure, which was the Han Solo small head on the 12-back Palitoy card. You can imagine how much that is worth now. The second figure I got, I remember vividly again, is the Ben Kenobi. And I remember just grazing my knee on the way home. It's like I've got such a deep memory of my childhood and playing with
Yeah.
toys and stuff like that. It's just, you know, and I
That's
just want to go.
amazing. I can remember that.
I just want to go back to the 1970s. I remember one time I sort of faked being ill. I mean, I had some Scare Electric pieces and a couple of
Oh, okay.
Stormtrooper figures, and I was just like laying on the carpet with the bits of Stormtrooper Scare Electric, made a sort of Imperial base, and just having hours of fun with the two Stormtroopers and my imagination. And that's what's totally
Mm.
missing these days,
Oh,
unfortunately.
listen. A lot of the stuff you say, I wholeheartedly agree with. Definitely. I mean, it's easy for a kid now to sit in front of a PlayStation or do and play whatever or Xbox or whatever console they've got. Back then, we didn't have that kind of thing. I mean, I was born in the mid-70s, so I sort of like my too young to see Star Wars. Don't remember seeing Empire Strikes Back. My first film from the three that I remember was Return of the Jedi. But we never had games consoles then. It was all
No.
about action figures, whether it be G.I. Joe, Star Wars, and it was about using your imagination. And
Yeah.
I'm pretty much in the same mold as you, as where I would have hours of fun just making bases and stuff like that, and
Yeah.
just using my imagination for this. I mean, we never had the stuff the kids have today, and I think
No.
it's so easy for a kid to just sit themselves in front of a TV, on their phone, on the Xbox, whatever. And I think that the imagination of today's children is certainly missing, in my opinion, anyway.
No, it's totally true because, yeah, I can definitely, you know, because everything now is instant. In the '70s, you
Yeah,
had two channels only. The TV was
that's
black and
it.
white. We didn't get black color TV till '79, till the end of the, you know,
Mm,
more or less into the '80s. And, you know, half the time you'd go on a channel, it was the test screen, or, you know, we had power cuts in those days, you know, so you were
mm,
left to use your imagination and have
definitely,
fun. So it was
definitely.
great in those days.
It certainly was. I mean, I keep saying I think those probably were the best days for me, anyway, as a kid.
Yeah.
So moving on, when did you begin to realize you were a collector? What was it? I mean, because I've said this to a lot of people on here. You get to a certain age, you get to your teens, and you sort of like lose interest in your toys and stuff like that. You go off and you do other things, grown up things.
Yeah.
So, did you ever sell your original Star Wars stuff? Did you keep it? And then when did you realize, oh, I'm a collector, and start getting back into it again? Or what's your story?
I kept my original Star Wars figures. I kept them under my bed, and you know, I mean, I've got some here, and
Wow.
then what really, I guess I'd go down. There was a place in Notting Hill called the Record and Tape Exchange, and they had a few of the comics, and I thought, oh, maybe I'll start collecting those. That would have been about late '80s, early '90s, and but then I went off to. I was doing my degree as well. So after finishing my degree in '92, I went to. I remember one of my mates. He said, oh, "I've been to this comic event, and I saw Star Wars figures there." And I sort of, when he said that, I pricked up my ears because he was saying they're still on the card. And I was going, wow. And that just sort of triggered some nostalgia deep inside. And so I remember him saying that. And then I was down Portobello and there was a little comics shop right in the middle of Portobello. And I went in there and they had a couple of Tri-Logo figures like Tebow, maybe ATST pilot, driver, and they were £3 each. And I don't think I even had the money, so I had to lend the money off someone to buy them. And but I bought those and maybe a really beat up Palatoy, a Bib Fortuna as well. But you know, it's still carded figures. And the main thing was I heard about a shop called Forbidden Planet, and I went to Forbidden Planet when it was on not where it is now, where it used to be. And
was that Tottenham Court Road? Was that top of Tottenham
Yeah,
Court Road?
yeah, Tottenham Court, yeah.
Yeah.
So I went there, and this would have been late '92, and
wow.
I went in, and this is like the first time I'd ever been there, and they actually had some vintage Star Wars figures for sale there. So they had on the wall a 12-back Princess Leia Kenner card, and it was £180.
Wow.
And I was like, wow, it's worth that much money. I can't believe how much it's worth. But I saw the carded Princess Leia, and I just wanted it. So that was something I wanted to get. They had a lot of like the cheap Return of the Jedi carded figures like Klaatu and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And in those days, they'd have been about £9, £8, £10. So I picked up a couple of those, and then I found out there was in London at the time. There was a few comic marts that you could go to that were the TUC. There was the London Comic Mart, which is the only one that's left. There was one in Camden, and there was the one in the Westminster Great Hall. So there was 4 that you could go to, and I remember going to the first one in May '93, and I met a guy called, if you know Jules Burt, his channel. He's a big star. He's got a big collection of Star Wars, and he collects everything. And he was a dealer as well. But this guy I met at the London Comic Mart, he said, whatever you want, just write to me and I'll bring it the next time I'm down in London. And so I would correspond. This is before eBay and all that sort of stuff. And you know, I'd ask, how much is this figure? How much is that one? I'd go to as many different events in London, so the TUC and all that sort of stuff. I'd buy off that guy, Steve, and other guys. There's a guy called Mr. Sci-Fi. He had just been, I have a huge table of vintage Return of the Jedi carded figures, and there'd be £7 each. So I'd just pick up whatever I wanted. Go to Westminster Great Hall. You just pick up whatever you needed. I mean, you could buy a Meccano, which I did, a Meccano Yoda French Return of Jedi card with a long bubble, and that's incredibly rare, for £20 in those days. So, you know, there was no.
You still got that?
Yeah, of course. I think it's in the pictures I sent you.
It's in the pictures. Oh, yeah. Awesome. Okay.
So, by sort of mid '94, the only figure I'd got a carded example of every of the 92. Apart from the Yak Face, that was the only one that I sort of dithered on, and I had to get that one a lot later. But by mid '94, I had collected all the others on card.
Wow, that is phenomenal.
92,
absolutely phenomenal. Well, and then I guess the prices were a hell of a lot cheaper then. Obviously,
very cheap. Yeah, I mean, you could get most things. I mean, you could get a 12-back for £70 in those days, £80. So, you know.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, then it was a lot of money, but
yeah, it was a lot of money in those days, and because we're talking about 30 years ago now, almost. So
that's crazy.
29 years ago.
Wow.
And then, I can just waffle for ages. So I mean,
it's great.
There's a couple of publications that really triggered me as well. They were the Lee's Action Figure News and Toy Review. I don't know if you ever had that magazine. It's a
No,
great
not
magazine.
too sure.
It was imported into Forbidden Planet, so you could get it.
Oh, okay.
And
Yeah.
the issue 9 was the first one I got, and that was the one that featured vintage Star Wars figures, and it
Oh, okay.
had the all the figures in color pictures, and that just whetted my appetite. And then there was another
Yeah.
book called Star Wars and Star Trek Collectibles, and this was the
Okay.
third edition, and that had half the book was about Star Wars. So I just
Wow. I mean,
built up the knowledge. Sorry.
that's okay. I was going to say, around about 93, 94, I didn't even realize the Forbidden Planet was a shop. We had like a little comic shop where I was. So there's like a little magazine in there. Have I frozen? Have I? Am I okay now?
Oh, yeah, you're okay now.
Oh, good. Yeah. So there's this little comic shop, and we used to have like a little magazine in there, and that was the time when the Power of the Force figures were coming out, and so I got excited because we hadn't had anything proper Star Wars for like since I think, what was it, 1985, 86 possibly, when the last Peg one was sort of going off the shelves in the local toy shops. And I was really excited for more Star Wars stuff, and then that come out, and it was the big Butch figures and stuff like that. It was a bit of a. Did you collect those at all, or was you not interested in those?
Totally into them. I was into anything Star Wars comics, books, VHS. You know, I just love Star Wars. I read books, you know, the Timothy Zahn books, the Dark Empire comics by Dark Horse. I think that was another thing. My mate was into comics, and he told me about the Dark Horse, Dark Empire comics, and he said, "Oh, you should get these," and so I did. And then I started collecting the Dark Horse comics. I got quite a lot of them, but it got to the point where I just couldn't cope with collecting so much, so I had to cut the comics and focus on the action figures. But I heavily collected the Power of the Force figures, so you know they were the sort of steroid figures, but you know
that's it.
It was fun at the time. I know everyone.
It was. I mean, it was. I mean, that Princess Leia was possibly one of the most ugliest figures I think I've ever seen. I mean, that was goddamn awful. And if I was Carrie Fisher, I think I would have been crying at the sight of that. But the beauty of that line is it did bring us figures that we didn't have in the previous canon line, which was Moff Tarkin, a lot of the aliens that we never got. So that was a big bonus for that. So moving on. Sorry. What made you start a YouTube channel, and who were your influences?
2009 I started my YouTube channel, and I mean, another mate of mine, we like making short movies before that, so we'd made a few little short films, and that was good fun. So I thought that's what I would do. I'd make that a channel that has a few short films, plus I'd share my Star Wars collection on it. So I called it MKM Films 2009, and that was my channel.
Okay. And
so it's 13 years old now. And so the M was for Matthew, the K was for me, and the other M was for another mate, Martin, because we were making short films together. And then nothing really came of the short films that much. So I'd make the odd short film now and again, but I'd just like start in the way I started making my videos. I'd take photographs a lot. So I'd just have photographs and music. So if you look at my first video, it's just photographs and music. And then over the years, I progressed to just having the object in front of me and waffling on about it for usually way too long, because I'm usually enamored by whatever I'm reviewing. And as you can see, I can just talk the talk for too long. So
no, there's nothing wrong with that, Barry.
Yeah. So I've just been going on and on. I mean, what was good in the old days was the YouTube had its own video editor. So if you had a lot of video footage on your channel, you could reuse that footage. So I was able to just do that, and I could knock out videos on the YouTube editor and just knock out a video in 10-20 minutes, you know. And So that's why I've got so many videos on my channel. My channel is an absolute mess. I wouldn't want to navigate it or anything like that. So, you know, but I made the channel for myself because I want to have a visual record of what I've collected over the years, or
Okay.
and what I'm still collecting and all that sort of stuff. So, you know, it's just,
Well,
or
do
if
you
I
know
go,
that's I was going to say that's a quite a unique aspect or way to look at it,
yeah.
because I think that's video footage of stuff. It is, yeah. I think that's awesome. I would never have thought of that.
And if you look at with the ratio to vintage, real vintage to modern Star Wars,
Mm.
there's so many more channels that are dedicated to modern Star Wars,
Yeah,
which is, I guess, because it's coming out now. There's a sort of people want to see what's coming out straight away. Because whereas with the old stuff, it's more. I don't think so many people who have big vintage collections really want to share it so much. They might do it on
yeah,
Facebook, but there's less
yeah.
channels apart from me, Action Figure Grader,
Mm.
that really, as soon as we get something, we lop it on the channel and talk about it. And you know,
No, there's
so
no. I think that's awesome.
yeah.
Absolutely awesome. So, I mean, back in when YouTube first started, you could only do a certain length of video, couldn't you? It was only 2
Yes,
minutes or
yes.
something like that. Or what was the longest time they could do?
I think it was longer than 2 minutes. It was about 10 minutes, maybe,
Oh,
and
okay.
then
Yeah.
it got extended. But
Mm.
yeah, I think once you've got a certain number of subscribers or something like that, or you work to reach a certain threshold, you could
Mm.
make longer videos. So yeah.
Awesome. So, when did you become the blacked out Ewoks then?
Around say 2013, I was just thinking, because I'm not doing anything really on the short film side of things. I have made a few short films, and most recently in around February, I made a film called Red Army Bunker 1942, and
Okay.
so I thought my channel is really just a Star Wars channel, really. So
Mm.
you know, any short films are going to be really quite infrequent, or if I go somewhere interesting like a museum, I might put that up as well, or
Yeah.
abroad. But so I just thought Blacked Out Ewoks is a great name because it's on the back of the card, the Return of the
Yeah.
Jedi cards, and you know, sometimes when you're partying a bit too much, especially in the younger days, you might actually, you know, come to the next day and get told what an idiot you've made of yourself, a complete, you know. So blacked
Yeah.
out
Yeah.
Ewoks. So yeah,
Oh,
the word
awesome.
has a double meaning.
Yeah. I again like that. That's yeah. I like that. So did you have any influences then, or was it just you and your mates got together? Because obviously YouTube was a new thing. So
um, it was as soon as I got a laptop. I mean, I'd been watching YouTube. It was only when I got my own laptop in 2009. As soon as I got my laptop, I made a YouTube channel. That's the first thing I did, and I had a go trying to make a video, and it was because I learned how to edit on my mate's Apple Mac, and that was
yeah.
iMovie 3 was so much superior to whatever, you know.
Yeah.
So I just made a video the first day I got my laptop, you know,
Awesome.
just so.
Awesome.
I always wanted to present my stuff visually.
Yeah. No, I like that. I think that's great. So moving on to the next question. What is your most prized piece of your collection?
That's a good question. So, I mean,
I know you've got a lot to choose from.
yeah, I mean, it's probably something like that Gamorrean guard, the carded sample, because
Okay.
I saw it on eBay and I didn't know about samples then. I saw it in 2010, and I was thinking, oh, this looks interesting, and because it was the Gamorrean guard on the Empire Strikes Back 2-1B card, and I thought no one's seems that interested on it. It was ending on a Thursday during the, you know, in the evening, so I put my bid on, and I won a carded sample for about 160 quid, which is a prototype item.
Yeah.
It's what Kenner used to see what it would look like on the card, the Gamerian guard, and to see how strong the blister would be. And so I just, as soon as I got that, made some videos about it. In those days, I just took photographs of it. I didn't really, or I filmed it, but I just put music. I didn't narrate it. But but I did a lot of research into that figure as well. I got into contact with the people that, before the person who had it on eBay, the person, he must have bought it off. There was a UK like online shop in those days, and it was incredibly difficult to get in contact with them. But I got into contact with them, and they told me about, just to to develop the so excuse me, just to develop the knowledge of what this sample was and all that sort of stuff, and where it came from, provenance really. And so in those days, I sort of got the new laptop. I started going back on eBay and buying more and more Star Wars stuff, especially graded stuff, and sort of trying to improve the collection, and just for buying more and more Star Wars stuff. It's kind of you even with the modern stuff as well. Like, I'm collecting the vintage collection, so I know how hard it is to keep up with the vintage collection. I buy the odd Black Series now and again, but over the years, your knowledge of Star Wars, as like the vintage Kenner and modern Star Wars stuff as well, it just becomes quite comprehensive and quite you learn about COOs and all that sort of stuff, and it's quite I mean, with the coup markings of action figures and stuff like that, it's quite a lot of it's just guesswork, because the people that, when they were making them, they didn't care. They just wanted to get them on card and sold. So nothing was really retained. So a lot of what is designated this coup or that coup is all speculation from collectors who look at their loose figure collections and look at the coup marks in the backs of the legs of the figures, and then sort of say, well, this certain figure has this sort of marking on this back leg and so and such and so and such, and it's just all guesswork, and it's a sort of action figure archaeology, really. It's really quite interesting, and so I got into that quite a lot. I wouldn't say I'm a heavy expert, but I'd say I've got a comprehensive knowledge of most aspects of vintage Star Wars collecting, like foreign cards, all that sort of stuff, and all that sort of. So I've got a good memory as well, so
Well, I'll certainly say you've got quite an extensive knowledge. Definitely. I mean, I've been pretty impressed with some of your videos and stuff like that, and the bits and bobs that you. I mean, you are very knowledgeable in my eyes. So, do you have a Grail piece? Is there one piece of Star Wars or any toy line that you want above anything else?
For Star Wars, I missed the vinyl Cape Jawa. So, I mean, 2009, 10, 11, you could get a loose graded one for about 250 quid. So, and for quite a long time, it's sat at that price. So I was thinking, down the line, I'll get a vinyl Cape Jawa. But eventually, when sort of Disney started, 2012 and up towards 2015, the prices just started to ramp up on certain items, like the double telescoping Luke, all the key pieces that the Grail items, and so I missed out on the vinyl Cape Jawa. I'm not really going to pay 2,000 quid for a loose graded vinyl Cape Jawa.
Not only that, the danger with that is if you pay that amount of money and find out that it's actually a repro.
I'd only buy graded.
Yeah,
that's the beauty of graded.
Okay, I like that. So a graded Jawa in a vinyl cape is around about $2,000.
$2,000 these days. Yep. I don't know. Do you watch Action Figure Grader?
I do watch him every now and again.
So he does these, round eBay roundups, and so yeah,
Yeah.
VC Jawa. I mean, even the yak face is loose graded is what 5,000 now, or they're getting close to that. So you know,
Wow.
it's
Wow.
just
Wow.
certain
Wow. It
figures are
is.
so expensive now.
Yeah. Yeah. I know. Well, I mean, I got the Yak Face and a Manaman figures loose, and I got them off eBay. So
Mm.
I paid a fair amount for those. My only worry is are the weapons real? That's the only thing. That's whether are they genuine weapons. That's
Um,
my only
I mean,
worry.
with the yak face, you don't need to worry because the tri logo version didn't come with a weapon.
Oh,
So
okay.
that's okay with the yak face there. And
Wow.
so and the Man staff is quite. I mean, I know that does get reproduced, but yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if the seller said it was genuine, I mean, there's certain sites you can go on, like Variant Villain and all those sites that are
Mm.
Imperial Gunnery, and you can, you know, you could send a photograph of your staff and have it.
Yeah.
Or Facebook groups are probably even better now because there's such a proliferation of groups that are dedicated to every niche of Star Wars collecting, modern,
Mm.
vintage, and for bootlegs as well. Bootlegs is a new
Yeah.
sort of an exploding area because a lot of bootlegs go for huge amounts of money.
Yeah. I've seen those. That's not that doesn't really float my boat. But when you look at it and think that the amount of money that these bootlegs are going for now, you've got to think, blimey, someone's doing something right. That's just astonishing. The prices that stuff going for these days.
Yeah. I mean, the Turkish bootlegs, they're the most famous. The Uzes, they go for a huge
Uzes, that's
amount.
it. Yeah.
Yeah. There's Mexican bootlegs. They go for huge amounts of money as well, as long as they're the genuine things, because there's a lot of knockoffs in Mexico. Model Trem Brazil. So it's really whatever floats your boat. So if you like bootlegs, you get into collecting bootlegs. If you like the vintage stuff, you know, once you've collected all the vintage stuff, a lot of people go into bootlegs, or they might just focus on one figure as well.
Yeah.
So you know certain figures like the Han Solo, which is the Han Solo vest. I've got quite a few of those carded because that's one of my favorite figures. The original Princess Leia with the buns, that's one of my favorites. The Luke Farm Boy, he's a hot figure these days, and I've got a few of those. But you know, I wouldn't mind a few more Luke Farm Boys on card.
What made you start collecting variants then? I mean, what was the appeal to that?
Probably the first variants you come across are on the Return of the Jedi card. The alternate pictures for the Luke and the Leia and all that sort of stuff. So, you know, the Luke Gunner card. So you those are carded variants. So you get into different backs, like the 12 backs, 20 backs, 21s, Empire Strikes Back 21 back, which is the transition. You got a whole range of Empire cards with different offers on them. Then you find out about, you see foreign cards. So you might see a Meccano card, which instead of having Return of the Jedi in English, it has it in French, or a Spanish card, Mexican Lily Ledes, which are, you know, hard to find over here. Probably the rarest foreign cards, you know, are the Australian ones. Those you seldom see. The toll toys. So, you know, so I did see an Australian card. I was at Sandown Park last year. And I met Boss Bounty for the first time, and there was a Australian toll toys card at an auction there, so we were able to look at it and talk about it. So yeah.
The next Sandown's 17th of September, by the way.
Oh, are you going? I might try and go.
I'm looking to go in. I'm either I've got a wedding to go to or a reception to go to in the evening, so I know I'll be doing that. But I don't know if I'll be working that day. If I'm not, then I will be there for sure. Definitely go now. I love looking around those things. So, what was your first graded figure? What was the first graded figure you bought, and why did you start getting into those?
Oh, that's a good question. Now I'm going to have to remember. So it'd be about 2000. No, it'd be earlier. I remember it would have been around 2006-7. I was going to what was it, London Film and Comic Con.
Yeah.
And so there was a guy called the Three Daffs, and he had graded figures for sales. And every time I'd go to a London event, he'd be there, so I'd start talking to him, and he'd say, maybe it was the Death Star droid on a 21 back graded, or the Obi-Wan Kenobi on a 12 back graded. So I picked those up of him for a lot less than what you'd pay for them now. So I bought those. So I got them. I think they present really nicely in the graded case. And I know there's a sort of dichotomy between some collectors that loathe graded items and others that have a passion for graded items, because you're getting the provenance and the so-called expertise of AFA, UKG, or CAS that are saying these are authentic and what it is exactly. So and the case is in a way protecting the item. So there's that as well. So in 2009, when I went back on eBay, when I got my first laptop, I just started buying graded items, because I had bought a couple of just ungraded mint on cards, and the condition when they arrived wasn't as what I expected. So I in my mind, I thought, if I'm going to spend this money, I might as well buy graded. And in those days, you could buy a graded carded figure, like I got a Trilogo Neon Num for 40 quid. So so I think it gives you a peace of mind. Because it's like it's been verified. The grades are going to sort of approximate the condition. So if you get buying 80, mostly I buy 80 grades. If I could get higher at a decent price, 85s and so on. Go down as low as 75s on a carded mock. So unless it's something really rare, and then you'll take whatever you can get. But it's that sort of reassurance in a way that what you're buying has been verified, and it's just like buying graded comics as well. So
because I remember, because you saying about the state of the some of the parcels coming, and when you open it up, I remember watching a video of yours, and you'd opened up, I think it was a card that you had, and I think there was damage to it, and I think it's the first time I heard you swear. I don't think you were very happy with that. I remember that one.
I wonder what I've done. The worst was I ordered this 12 Palatoy Stormtrooper. So it's a Return of Jedi card, but the guy packed it the back of the card right at the top of the box. And I was filming myself opening this in 2011. I had the camera in front of me and all of that sort of stuff. I had a lot longer hair then, and I had the knife, and I just
shit!
And I scored the back of the card. It didn't break through, but I scored the back of a Palatoy Return of the Jedi Stormtrooper. So I was like, well, what the hell am I doing? But the thing is, the way the guy packed it, the back of the card on the so, and the flaps meet at the back of the cup. It's just I was gutted when I did that, and the video's on YouTube still. It's
I'm gonna have to go back and look at that
2011 video.
Go back and look at that. Wow, this one was more recent. I think it was within the last couple of years.
I did one. I remember I bought these two episode 1. The guy, what's his name? He's got the purple jacket and the orange vest. He's quite a rare episode 1 figure. And I'll find his name. But the thing is, the same thing happened. The guy packed the figure, the card back against the top of the box. So when I opened it, I scored the card again. So I wasn't happy about that.
No, I can imagine. Yeah.
You live and learn, but here it is. It's Co Bibble.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Co Bibble, and he's one of the rare episodes. So I collected all the figures. I collected about I got at least half the episode one
Let's get
figures.
you on large screen there, BOE. Put that back up again. Let's go. Just get you on a large screen there. Oh, and you're frozen. That's bloody good timing. There we go. Yeah.
Yeah, I can see it moving actually. Can you hear me still?
Yeah. I can still hear you. I can still see you. It's all good, man.
So I can see it. Yeah. So I can see. So I collected loads of these episode one figures. I don't know if you collected them. Because you remember the hype?
Yeah.
The hype for episode one was like,
yeah.
And then and you remember '97 when the films came back out.
Yes.
The special editions. That was a.
See, those I was talking to someone the other day, and those were my first real experience of Star Wars at the pictures. Because I was too young to sort of appreciate it and stuff like that. And then there was people dressed up and you had your lightsabers. I mean, nothing like it would be in America. And I can remember coming out of those films thinking, why? Why has George Lucas done this? Why has he added those bits to A New Hope? Why has he added certain bits to Empire? Why has he added... That's all I come out thinking. And I feel the films were probably better off without those added extras.
It's true. But I guess he feel when he says, or have you ever seen the film People versus George Lucas?
No,
People versus. You can get it from Germany or France. It never got released in the UK.
Okay.
But it's quite a good. You should be able to pick it up for a $5 on DVD, and it's quite a good. And it's about Jar Jar Binks and all the changes George Lucas made to the movies, so it's definitely worth a watch. So People versus George Lucas. The German version is the best version to get.
Okay, I'll keep an eye out for that, definitely.
Yeah.
Okay, so moving on, other than Star Wars, because I know Star Wars is your big passion, what other lines do you collect? What else do you collect? Present day.
Migos. I've got some of the Black Hole figures. I've got the Vincent and Maximilian on Italian cards. I've got some Migos Star Treks. I'm trying to collect the 1979, not the big figures, the 3.75 figures, but just the aliens loose graded, and that's 6 in the collection. And some that they're so hard to get. I managed to do 4 so far. I need 2 more. I need the Rigelian and the Beta Geissian. I'm also collecting at times Masters of the Universe, the original Motus. Loose graded, not on card. But, So if I see one of those, and I'll have a couple arriving this week. So I've got a couple,
awesome.
Of loose graded Skeletors coming. So I've got the first outfit, the first version, and the second version, the battle armor damage. So and I've just reviewed the the Mattel Origins He-Man and Skeletor with the new faces.
I see your pictures up on them. I see your pictures up on Instagram.
Yeah, £10 each. Oh yeah, really? £10 each at B&M store. They're brilliant figures, really good.
Yeah, they are. They are good. They are good. Okay, so I've got 3 pictures here.
Yeah.
And I'm going to show one at a time.
Yeah.
I'd like you to talk me through them. So, the first one, here we go. Those are rare as rocking horse shit, aren't they?
Not really, because
no.
In the early 90s, I was offered the full set for £10 each. So I mean,
did you take it?
No, I didn't like them then. I sort of got, because I was collecting the original 92 and the Ewoks. By then I'd lost total interest. I didn't know about Ewoks. I don't think we got the Ewoks show in the UK. I know we got the droids, but so this is there's 2 6 figures in the line. There's 4 are Dulocs, which are the green villainous characters. So you've got Logray and you've got Wicket. So I bought the first ones of these are off that guide, 3 Darths in maybe 2007. He had some from the Lucasfilm archive graded.
Oh, wow. Okay,
so I bought 3 of them off him. 2 were graded 90 clear, and one was graded 85, the Wicket, and they were all from the Lucasfilm archive. So then I bought the Dulocs as.
Mm.
So it wasn't too hard to complete those. The droids is much harder to collect because
Yeah.
there's only 6 of those to collect the Ewoks. So, and they do come with coins like the
Mm.
original Power of the Force figures. So yeah, they're not
Yeah.
too bad.
Mm. Do you regret not getting those when they were offered you for £10 each?
You live and learn. That's
That's
part
one
of
way of
the.
putting it. Yeah.
That's the part of collecting. Because in the '93, I was in either the TUC or another London comic thing, and they had a tri-logo Jawa, which is
Okay.
an incredibly rare carded figure. Guy
Yeah.
wanted 40 quid. That is nothing. That's one of the rarest
Wow.
tri-logo carded figures.
Yeah,
I looked at it and I thought about it, but I put it back, and I've regretted that ever since. So that's 29 years ago. So you
wow.
live and
Yeah.
learn. There's things
You
you
do.
dither about or think, oh, it'd be there, like the final Cape Jawa when it was
Yeah.
250, and then it goes to 500. I'm going, I'm not paying. It's just doubled in price. I'm not paying that now. So
Yeah. Fair enough.
you live and learn. It's all about learning from your mistakes, and it's part of the hobby as well. It's part of the fun of
Yeah.
probably learning from your mistakes is a great way of like Yoda says in the, I won't say which movie, but he says
No.
what was it, something like, I can't remember what Yoda said, except about learning from your fears or mistakes is
Yeah.
one of your best
Yeah.
teachers.
I can't remember what he said, but yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So next picture. This one interested me because is that Japanese or Chinese on that sticker? I can't.
It's what you said first, Japanese.
Japanese. Wow.
So Japanese vintage Star Wars is quite complicated because it's divided into 3 distributors. The first was Takara,
Right.
which this is called a. So this is a US Kenner card.
Yeah.
Darth Vader with a Japanese import sticker.
Right.
And it's there's also a version of this Darth Vader on a 12-back card with see the background behind Vader's yellow. On the other card, it's white. It's got a piece of white vinyl, and it's an actual figure sculpted in Japan. It's got a different head to the. So there's a few variants of these Takara figures. There's a C-3PO with an alternate head, totally unique to the Japanese market.
Yeah.
And there's the Darth Vader, and then there's the Stormtrooper as well.
Wow.
So
yeah, that one caught my eye.
Yeah. Then for the Empire Strikes Back, someone else sold. It was called a company called Poppy, and they sold the figures in little boxes. And I don't know if I got a picture here, but they're quite. That's something I never collected either. I mean, I've got the 12-back Takaras, but I haven't got any Poppy Empire Strikes Back figures. So there's about 15 of those. And then for Return of the Jedi, so you got Takara, then you got Poppy, and then for Jedi you got Sakuda. So they were Kenner cards, like Return of the Jedi cards, with a Japanese sticker on the lower half of the back of the card. So they're quite collectible.
Yeah. Awesome.
So,
and the final picture.
Yeah.
Again, this is
I just reviewed this.
I'm gonna have a guess. That's Mexican. Is that Mexican?
La Guerre des Etoiles. No, it's French.
Okay. French.
It's Meccano.
Oh, Meccano. Okay.
So Meccano card, Obi-Wan Kenobi. So this is probably the second most easiest French piece to find. The easiest is the Jawa.
Yeah.
So the French Meccano Jawa is used to be quite common and quite affordable. Now it's gone up quite a lot because any foreign vintage is quite hot. So what's famous about these is the French used the square card. So the first French 12-backs were just like our 12-backs, longer rectangular cards, and then for the sort of 20-back equivalent they use square cards, and then into the Empire Strikes Back they use square cards, and then for Return of the Jedi they went back to the rectangular card. I mean rectangular card that looked more like the Palatoy equivalent.
Yeah. No, that caught my eye because I don't think I've ever seen a card like that.
The jar was quite common on that one though. The French are quite because the characters have interesting names, like Han Solo, and they call him Yarn Solo.
Okay.
The C3PO is something like Z6PO, and
Okay.
R2D2 is called Didu. So, it's
wow.
quite interesting. All these different quirks you have with different countries. The Italians as well, with Harbert, they have different names. Like Darth Vader's called Darth Fenner. French Dark Vador. So
interesting stuff. See, I mean, you are a fountain of knowledge, my friend. Definitely. I mean, because the good thing about this is I didn't know a lot about this stuff, as in like the graded figures or the variants. I've never sort of been into variants, and mainly because of money. But finding out all this and stuff like that, I'm finding it really interesting. So thank you very much. I mean, really enjoying this. This is interesting to listen to.
I mean, I have a few friends that I've made on YouTube. I mean, obviously, Action Figure Grader. Me and him are always in contact about what we're going to acquire, or I'm going to get this. What do you think of this, and vice versa. Also, Only One Kenobi.
Well, he likes his variants, doesn't he?
Yeah, especially I've sort of probably one person that encouraged him to collect all these variants of the vintage collection, because it's early days with the vintage collection, because where are there South American cards, are there Mexican cards, all that sort of stuff. What sort of variants are there with these cards? And
it's all really interesting stuff.
So I said, you're going to be a kind of pioneer doing the sort of frontiers work of what people did back 30 years ago with the real vintage. You're doing it with the vintage collection.
Vintage collection. So, that is awesome. That is awesome.
Yeah.
So I've got 2 questions left for you.
Yeah.
Okay. So question number 9.
Yeah.
What gives you the toy collecting buzz?
Just the nostalgia, the connecting to my past, halcyon days, the happiness, the joy of being a child again, that magic I want back in my life. Carefree, not to worry about bills, the what's going on with a government that seems not listening to the people, just doing their own thing, all the awful things that are happening in this world. And it's just something that it's a harmless hobby, doesn't do anyone any harm, and it's just the visual. That's why I like my figures carded, because I like, even with the vintage collection, I don't take the figures off the card. I just love that sort of almost, you could say, virgin figure, because it's not been taken off the bubble. It's that sort of promise of Xanadu again. So it's that, I just love the visual appeal. The design of the original 12 Kenner Star Wars cards is the best ever. That's why it's so popular with us lot now with the vintage collection, because those cards have that perfect formula of a large photo, the black background, the colorful background behind the figure, the checklist on the back of the figure card, which we don't have so much nowadays, but we used to get with the first vintage collection figures. And it's just nothing is more visually appealing than those cards. I mean, I've watched your video where you talked about the 40th anniversary Empire Strikes Back Black Series figures, or the Star Wars ones. Once you saw them, you had to get them because of that visual appeal of that perfect card.
Yeah, that's what it was. Because I haven't seen cards like that I mean, I wasn't into the vintage collection then at all. It's only since I started watching YouTube and guys like yourself and Bosk's Bounty and Only One and all the others. I was like, wow, these. And then I saw them in a Toys R Us, and I just, wow. And what a throwback that was.
Yeah.
It was like literally walking into that shop for the first time and thinking, and you see all those cards as a kid. And I just thought, wow. And that's why I think I would have been so disappointed and angry if they had have done away with the bubble for the
Oh
vintage
yeah.
collection, and also for the Black Series 40th Return of the Jedi next year. I would have been so annoyed.
Well, you must have heard me on Only One Kenobi when I ranted about the bubble.
Yes, I did. Again, listen. People might not like it, but what you say is absolutely true. It is so true. I mean, with everything that's going on in the world and stuff like that, and all the different plastics in the world,
Yeah.
with your daily foods and stuff like that, it's all plastic. And
Yeah.
this day and age, it is recyclable plastic that they use. Whether or not it's because of the carbon footprint that they're leaving behind making the plastic, I do not know. But if it was as bad as people were making it out to be, then Hasbro would not have kept the bubbles regardless.
Mm.
I don't think they would have
Yeah.
kept the bubbles. So they're keeping the bubbles. So obviously, I'm not saying it's not bad, because we all want to protect the environment and stuff like that for sure. But it's a grey area really for
Yeah.
me. I mean, I'm glad they've kept the bubbles, and
Yeah.
I know that a lot of the Black Series collectors who collect the Black Series and keeping the boxes, they're not very happy because they're losing the window, and so I sympathise with them.
Yeah. I mean, poor old Shabby.
Yes, yeah,
I mean,
bless him.
I think another thing about this hobby and the whole YouTube thing is the great community there is. That
Yeah, yeah.
there's
Mhm.
so many great people, and I've met, like back in those days. I'm talking about 2009. The big guy was
Yeah,
Siflaw 229.
right.
Mike, what was his name? Mike, filmmaker Mike. Those two were the biggest Star Wars channels in those days. And then
Wow.
there was a guy called Micah 6v8. His channel is
Okay.
totally gone now, but he was a bit of a legend because he was really into vintage, and
Mm.
he was like asked me to do an interview on his channel and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, he was collecting the vintage collection then in
Mm.
2010, and
Wow.
I really like talking with him, and he's a bit of a legend in my opinion. And
Yeah.
you meet different collectors over 13 odd years, like
Yeah.
Laugh It Up Fuzzball. Where are you, Laugh It Up Fuzzball? And all these different people that you would interact with and chat with in your comments usually, and then or by email now and again. And nowadays it's just talking with the likes of Tim from Boss Bounty, Only One, Action Figure Grader, anyone else that's wants to chat away, I don't mind.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. I'm really enjoying the community. I really am. I mean,
Yeah.
I've always been a collector, but I've never been into YouTube and stuff like that. And it was only not until recently that I was quite inward within myself about my collection. I wouldn't sort of like tell anybody and stuff like that. But now who gives a shit. I'm quite happy. I've got my collection.
Yeah.
You guys, so it's awesome.
I mean, my friends, none of them collect Star Wars.
Yeah.
The nut jobs I hang around with. So, it's something. If I might show them one thing now and again, or say, look,
Yeah.
here's my YouTube channel. Why don't you,
have a watch?
But it's just in that community. And I mean, during the first lockdown, there was, we all came together with, which now USR. But you'd watch USR, Universal Shabby Geek reviews with Ted and all them lot, and you make friends with people from America. So you meet Warzaf, Shabby, all these other guys as well. Left Coast Graphics. So it's Salacious Ram, he's done really well with his channel as well.
Yeah, definitely. Well, my friend, it is coming to the hour mark, so we're going to have to give this a wrap shortly. I've got one last question for you, and I seriously, honest to God, this has been awesome. I cannot believe how quickly this hour has gone. It has just flown by. So my last question to you is the blacked out Ewoks. What does your collection mean to you?
I guess I had in that interview I just listened to prior to this live stream, the question was, do you do it for investment or do you do it for the love of Benji? And I do it for the love of Benji. I mean, obviously certain things have become quite valuable. Like if
Yeah.
I've got a tri-logo yak face, you know, it's worth as much now, you know. A lot of vintage Star Wars stuff has increased in value, and you know, you're like, I paid 30 quid for that
Yeah.
30 years ago, and now it's worth over 1,000, and you're thinking, wow.
Mm.
And but is that your raison d'etre for collecting Star Wars? I mean, not for me in '93. It was just connecting to the past, buying a few carded figures. Then it gets a bit more and a bit more and a bit more, and you're thinking, oh, Hasbro's bringing out Power of the Force 2, I'm going to buy them. Then it's bringing out Episode 1, and then it's bringing out Saga Blue, and then it's bringing out 30th Anniversary Collection, then it's bringing Legacy Collection, then it's bringing out Vintage Collection. So it's like, oh, I'll buy some of these. It's like, it maybe a bit of an addiction, but it's a good addiction. It's better than getting rat-arsed every day and all that sort of stuff, you know. You know, it's something you can, you know, when you're working every day, you might not really be thinking about it too much, but you know, when you've got the Saturday afternoon off or stuff like that, you can just look at thinking about eBay and think about what would I like to buy, and you know, sort of, you know, depending on your funds at the time, and you know, obviously I'm low on dough at the moment because I bought those Motu Skeletor figures, but I've been eyeing a graded Skeletor for quite a while, so it's the time to pounce. Yeah,
it is the time to pounce. Well, unfortunately, my friend, that has come to the end of the chat. Like I say, this has been absolutely fantastic. Where can people find you?
Blacked Out Ewoks on YouTube, Blacked Out Ewoks, one word, on Instagram. TikTok, I've started TikTok. Early days on TikTok, so but I mainly Instagram and YouTube.
I shall be putting your links to your YouTube channel and your Instagram page on the description below for the end of this.
Great.
BOE, it has been an absolute pleasure chatting to you, mate. It really has. I've thoroughly enjoyed this. It's been, you are so knowledgeable, and like you were talking about those guys that were in 2009, they were legends and stuff like that. For me, definitely, you are a legend. And with that, I want you to do the outro. Do it in true BOE style.
Okay. Well, cheers. Goodbye.